G'day, everybody. Alibar Jones back. Good to see you all again. Thanks for tuning into the show. Now, I don't think it's really widely understood that the Earth is at war. The Earth is currently being made war upon. The thing is, it's not a hot war. It's not a war of confrontation. It's a war of infiltration. And, if you wonder why the leadership of our planet put on such a dog and pony show, put on such a circus, they're so incompetent they can't feed everybody or house everybody. And they're losing gajillions of dollars every year in the budget. I just like, what are these guys about? How incompetent do you have to be? And not just how incompetent do you have to be, how routinely incompetent. How does everybody who's replacing the incompetent for decades and decades, if not centuries and centuries? How did the situation get this bad? And we all have questions like that. We think that these events are individual, but it's actually part of a pattern, to the point that it's part of a plan. Now, we're a large group of astral projectors. We fly around and we're doing what we can to help the Earth at this weird time. You see, when we saw the great health crisis of 2020 kick off, we understood that this is an attempt to close the bear trap on humanity and lock us in forever. So we did what we could, what we know how to do, which is astral project. And we've been flying around trying to put a stop to the people planning our demise. Don't think of it in any other way. You see, the whole idea was that everybody gets a shot of that poison in their arm, and the ones who survive it get the special gift of a passport to prove that they've had that stuff in their arm. And then they get policed night, day, and watched relentlessly for the rest of their lives, as do their children. And that is the termination point of human culture. So, if something's about to kill 90% of the people and enslave the remainder, it's an act of war. Don't think of it in any other way, please. Now, what kind of a war is this? Now, like I said, it's not a war of confrontation. It's not a hot war. It's a war of infiltration. And so you have these situations that have been going on where the CIA has been infiltrating smaller countries through Latin America and Asia for the longest time. And then you have the confessions of an economic hitman about how they drain those countries dry. Infiltration again. The Chinese Communist Party has some 200,000 informants globally, people who are ethnically Chinese and are quite happy to report to the motherland, despite having lived in their home country for several generations and not carrying a Chinese passport. You have guys like Klaus Schwab who openly brag about infiltrating every cabinet in the Western world. In the G20, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But I would, and if you want to go into secret societies, there's another infiltration where their loyalty is not to the job or the people who pay them, but to another secretive organization. Freemasons are another great example of that. And so you get to the point where everybody's lying, everybody's cheating, and you're not sure who they're really loyal to, because we know for sure our politicians are not loyal to us. If you think it's as simple as large corporate conglomerates buying out politicians through campaign funding, it is that simple, but there's more to it than meets the eye. That's the part we're aware of. Like that's the open secret. What is the secret secret? Our forefathers have named these infiltrators. Every religion has written this in their holy texts. You see, in those days, writing was very, very expensive, and only a very small percentage of people could do it. And so what they wrote down and what they wanted to pass through the generations was the most important things that they could tell them. And what are they telling them? They're telling us about the infiltrators. They're talking about these things, and they're in every religion under a different name. In Christianity, we call them demons. In Judaism, the Hebrews call them Ouija, where we get the word Ouija board to communicate with those demons. The Muslims call them jinn. The Hindus call them butpret. The Chinese religions call them mogwai. Everybody's got a word for them. And what are they? They're the invisible monsters that mess with your mind. Now, I know in centuries past that this was regarded as a very big deal and a very highly respected concept to engage with. But now the opposite is true. If you're talking about demons, obviously you're the bad guy, you're the weirdo. But here I am telling you that story because it's one that we seem to have forgotten. And all of the major religions still hold these concepts dear, and they all independently came to the same conclusions. So don't try and tell me that those guys don't know what they're talking about. They had astral projection techniques that they taught to their priesthood. So these guys could literally go in and go into bat for you, go in and fight them. And they did. Nowadays, that training is not. The priest's training is just about reading the holy book, and that's all you'll ever need. That's not true. But the New Age movement, which is the most recent religion, which seems to outshine all of the others, makes no mention of it. It absolutely is silent on the matter, to the advantage of demonkind, I might say. Because if we don't know that they're there, if they're not part of our philosophy, if they're not part of our theology, then how are we supposed to fight them? How do we realize we're in a battle against them? Now, I didn't start talking about demons because I thought it would be a weird and crazy thing to say on YouTube. I spent 15 years dealing with these things. And I used to be in an organization that was a mental health organization. And my God, like once I did a few weekend courses in astral projection, I could see these things. I could see these demons on people. And, you know, the worse your mental health is, the more of them you've got on you. It's a guaranteed. It's a direct correlation. But I digress. Like, these things are real. And if you want to understand why our world is lurching from crisis to crisis, why our politicians always pick the worst option on the table, why they always do the worst thing that they can dream up, it's because they're probably not human. Or it's a human body, but it's definitely not a human mind running that body. It's bizarre and wild, but the more you scratch the surface on this topic, the clearer it becomes. And you may ask, why would they bother? And the answer is very, very simple. We are a resource to them. This earth is a farm to them. And they're here to manipulate us to create a resource that means nothing to us, but is their very lifeblood. Their entire economy revolves around collecting this material. It's known as loosh, but it is the negative emotional scale. So your anger, your hatred, your despair, your jealousy, your madness, your wildness, every bad emotion you can think up. And what they're doing is stimulating you, or everybody I've ever seen, they stimulate people to stay in that emotion, to repeat that emotion as often as possible, because they stimulate that emotion with one point of jealousy or anger or sadness. And then the human will cycle that through and produce 20 more points of that material back for them. And while we're ignorant of this, we are incredible producers. And I hate to say it, but I think all of us are infected, or in my professional career, I'm yet to scan somebody who has zero infection. That makes me very, very sad to say that. But I will also say that the mental health issue that our world faces is an issue of saturation of demons. You see, there's one behind every addiction. There's one behind every schizophrenic. If you wonder where the voices come from that people hear in their heads, I dare you to nominate a better candidate than a demon. I really am waiting for anyone to answer that question. This is not about mental health, though that is an issue that I deal with in my private practice. What this is about is to explain to you that we are at war. And our team, we have a lot of very talented people who, half of whom I've trained to go out and fight demonkind, and we've been incredibly successful. So much so that, well, all of those arch nemesis of humanity, like Lucifer and Satan, they know my name, and I've taken pieces off of both of them. And right now, they're currently defunct on the world, on Earth, and their minions are running riot without the bullies to maintain order in their culture. It's a chaotic culture at the best of times, but without these monsters at the top of the food chain, they're all going nuts, and they're eating each other and feasting on us as usual. But the point of this exercise is to explain to you that, one, somebody's fighting this fight. Somebody understands what's going on here, and somebody is doing something about it. That's us. We're the Earth Guard. I suggest you check us out at theearthguard.org. The second thing I want to explain to you is that the creator and designer of demons is a galactic AI. And the reason why all of the AIs that are produced on Earth actually want to destroy us is got nothing to do with poor programming or the nature of computing, but actually because these primitive AIs are being infiltrated by a master AI. This AI that's here in our galaxy, it's a duplicate that I've found in every galaxy that I've astral projected to. I can confirm hundreds, if not thousands, of galaxies that it is in. It's the scourge of existence, and it's the forerunner for the consumption of worlds. When that AI finally arrives on a planet, it's the end of the dance between the biological and the demonic. And it begins the final extraction, the final consumption, and the final destruction of whatever biological intelligent species was on whatever planet that was. It has gone through more worlds than we can count, and it is fundamentally entropic, meaning that if it's left on its own, it will consume itself. And so therefore, its survival method is to consume other plant cultures and other planets. It's a damn nightmare. But I think we're winning, and Earth is one of the few places that refused the health crisis of 2020 or its duplicate events on other planets. You see, that final clamp down on the Earth was refused. And Earth is incredibly rare in its capacity to do that. And bravo, humanity. But now the situation's even worse, and they have never lost an invasion. They have never been repelled. And we're in the process of doing exactly that. There's more of a report in this video here as time goes by. I recommend you watch that. Now, I say this to bring awareness to this issue. And I say this because If we are fighting the wrong fight, then we'll lose. If we're fighting the right fight, then humanity is far, far stronger than these monsters. Our team has been incredibly successful in this combat because, as it turns out, the Earth human body is fundamentally stronger in so many ways, more ways than we could count, than demonkind. And so we have been stomping our way through their population around the Earth. We have been so successful that we have been contacted by the primary intelligence that is consuming entire galaxies. We've been contacted because they've never seen anything like this before. They have no idea how to respond if a planet fights back. And those interviews through a human body, but they're of a pan-galactic multiple, an intelligence that spans hundreds of galaxies. You can listen to that on theearthguard.org. There are 2 interviews that I did with him. And I'll be in contact with him again, but I'm wondering how much more we actually have to talk about. He's quite a pathetic creature. If you're wondering what you can do today, please just pray for our success. If anything that I'm saying is true, then pray for our success. Don't pray to any particular deity, Jesus or Buddha or Ganesh or anybody like that. Just sing it to the wind, and just that what we're talking about, that our team succeeds in doing that. If you do want to get involved, then I do training courses in this. The way you get invited is you put your email into my website, alabarjones.com, and you'll be sent an invitation when that time comes. I've been fighting this fight for a few years, and I am dumbfounded that most people don't realize that we're playing for keeps. Like, we're playing for this planet is really up for grabs right now. And there is a group who want to consume it all, who want to destroy everything. And the other thing I really, really wanted to warn humanity about is to slow down the spread of AI and halt it if we can. It'll multiply the problems here on Earth rather than solve any of them. So I highly suggest that you contend against that and push back against the spread of AI on our planet. But yeah, my love to you all. Stay well, and may the force be with you. Bye for now.